The power of choice. What's happening, everyone? It's Brandon Hofer with the Online Coach Creator coming at you today with a message of inspiration and encouragement as you navigate all the circumstances and ups and downs of being an online entrepreneur. So today we're talking all about that one thing that equips you and empowers you to take control of your life even when circumstances feel like they are outside of your control. There's one thing, one element that governs our experience of this life, and I'm sure you've already guessed what it is. It is the power of choice. At any given moment, we have the power to choose, number one, what to focus on. We have the power to decide what we're going to actually direct our attention to. Number two, we have the power to decide what those circumstances mean in our lives. We may not always be in control of the exact situation, but we can always decide and choose what those circumstances mean. And then number three, we have the power to choose how to act. We have the power to choose what to do as a result of what we focused on and the meaning that we've chosen in our life. Here's the thing. We don't always get to choose our circumstances. We know that. And this is the difference between having a victim moment and a victim mentality. You may have gone through something in your life where you genuinely did not choose what happened to you. And maybe it was traumatic, maybe it was challenging, maybe it was difficult. But whatever the case, even within that victim moment, we still have the power to choose how we will react to it and what meaning that we decide to assign to those moments. This is what I mean when I say the difference between a victim moment and a victim mentality. You might have had that moment, but you don't have to let that moment dictate how you define the rest of your life. So here's the thing, circumstances create those moments, but it's our choices and our reaction that actually create our destiny. Now, if we wanted to take a practical example from real life, let's take something traumatic. Let's say that you're in a job and let's say you've lost that job. That's a traumatic experience. It's a circumstance that was outside of your control. But you can choose what you do with your new life situation. You can choose, number one, what to focus on. Will you focus on the past and the traumatic and awful thing that happened, or will you choose to focus on the new possibilities that this life situation creates for you? You can choose what meaning you assign to those events. So if I experience something traumatic or awful, I can choose what that means in my life. Even pleasant moments, we choose what those mean. We might say, oh, this was just a nice pleasant moment and that's the meaning and that's the end of it. Or we can say, wow, this moment in my life, I'm choosing to acknowledge how incredible this is and express gratitude towards it, and now this is going to be a meaningful life transition for me. And then finally, we can choose what we do with that new life situation. So even if you have a moment dictated by circumstance, that moment doesn't have to define the next 2, 3, 5 years of your life. Now, the reason this perspective, this mind shift is so powerful is because it does not discount the pain and the trauma that you've gone through. All it does is empower you to take that pain, to take that trauma, and use it for something good in your life. You don't have to ignore the fact that something terrible happened. You don't have to ignore the fact that it was painful. But as they say, pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice, because suffering happens based on the meaning that we assign to our life situation. So if I go through something unpleasant and painful, that may have been inevitable. It may have been part of the circumstances that are outside of my control. But I can choose what I do with that painful circumstance. I can choose to suffer, meaning that I assign all kinds of terrible meanings to the pain that I go through, or I can choose to say, hey, this painful experience, the meaning behind it is actually that I'm going to be refined by it and my life is going to be better because of it. Let's take an example from the realm of relationships, right? You can go through a relationship that was traumatic, perhaps abusive, or perhaps it was just hurtful. Perhaps someone left you for someone else and that's a very painful experience. You can choose to wallow in that pain and experience suffering because of it, or you can choose to, for example, acknowledge that, wow, this person did me a favor because they've set me free and allowed me to actually meet someone who is truly going to fulfill me. So all I'm getting at here is that the power of choice governs everything that happens in your life and the meaning that you assign to it. So if you're wanting to build a business, but it's hard, it's a challenge, you're struggling to do it, you don't know, hey, what's going to happen if or when I leave my day job? What am I going to do? What kind of thing am I going to offer the world? Am I really qualified to be a coach and guide someone through parts of their life based on my life experience and my knowledge and expertise? If you're struggling to get through that, I'm here to tell you that right now, you have the power to choose what your future will look like. And I know it often feels like I can't, or it's too difficult, or I don't know what to do, or I feel lost. And that's the idea here, is even in those moments where it feels like you don't necessarily know what the best next step is, it's still a possibility. And if you commit, if you decide ahead of time, I am going to launch this business, I am going to be an online entrepreneur, I am going to make a living at it, I'm going to replace my income and more, and as I move forward, I'm also going to make a powerful impact in other people's lives. If you're willing to make that commitment, you have the power to choose every action of every day that will then define how that business gets built. So, if you like this video, you want more information, you want more training about how to launch and grow your online coaching business, click the button below to subscribe. I'm here to help you build the business that you want so you can have the life that you deserve. We'll catch you next time.